Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub. I'm your host, Dr. JOTA, and today we will be talking about three different topics, three different situations, three different names from Real Madrid, which I consider are the most important of today for different reasons. We will be talking about Vinicius Jr. because last night Eduardo Inda claimed Vinicius Jr. might renew his contract with Real Madrid, and the new contract will be a massive, it's going to be a completely different story, because the next contract apparently will try to emulate, to be similar to the big ones, to the big names, you know what I'm saying? Because Real Madrid is trying to treat Vinicius Jr. in the way he's supposed to be treated. Like a big star, big name, or something like that. Then, in the second place, we will be talking about the first problem popping up for Carlo Ancelotti when it comes to players management, because there is one player, Marco Asensio, who allegedly has leaked to the press that if he continues not to play in Real Madrid, if he is considered by Carlo Ancelotti like a secondary player and keep warming up the bench and all the stuff, he wants a meeting with Carlo Ancelotti because he feels kind of betrayed or something like that. And then in the third place, we will be talking about the game tomorrow. As you probably know, tomorrow we are playing against Mallorca in another exciting and very important game to keep growing the distance between us and the different contenders, the different teams, Atletico de Madrid, Valencia, and FC Barcelona, who had a draw against Granada. Unlike all the odds, Barcelona was unable to win Granada, and they are getting into a very big crisis. So let me first start with the first name, Vinicius Jr. in this case, because last night Eduardo Inda en El Chiringuito said Real Madrid is preparing the new contract for Vinicius Jr. and this contract will have a length of about 5 more years. The current contract of Vinicius Jr. in Real Madrid, I think it ends in 2025, and they want to extend it until 2027. And the other thing, it is of course the salary. How much money will Vinicius Jr. make in Real Madrid? Now Vinicius Jr. is making about 6 million euros after taxes. So the idea is to increase that salary in about the 50% or almost the 50%. So Vinicius Jr. would be making at some point between 9 million, 12 million a season. Okay, it is not clear yet, so we have to know what is going to be the last number, what is going to be the last figure that Real Madrid is thinking about for Vinicius Jr. to get paid. But I would say it's going to be about 10 to 12 million euros a year, which is of course a very decent number, a very reasonable salary for a player who has exploded this season. And of course, it was pretty much expected for everybody else to see how Vinicius Jr. at some point would blow up, and then that has happened this year, which is of course a very good thing, because as you know, all the numbers of Vinicius Jr. are just incredible. He has scored so far 5 goals and he has assisted twice, so he's doing a very good job in Real Madrid, and to me he's trending upwards right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see Vinicius Jr. nominated or calling for the Ballon d'Or. Don't get me wrong, not winning Ballon d'Or, but maybe nominated or among the players who might be, competing for the Ballon d'Or the next year, not this year, but the next year. So very good news for Real Madrid, and of course very good news for Vinicius Jr. Oh, and the other reason why Real Madrid wants to extend the Vinicius Jr. contract, it is because that way they would be ruling out all possible new teams for Vinicius Jr. or teams trying to fish Vinicius Jr. in Real Madrid. Because if you think about it, if we are able to sign Kylian Mbappe next year, PSG might try a kind of retaliation signing Vinicius Jr. for their squad, which is to me almost impossible, because neither Real Madrid nor Vinicius Jr. are willing to split up and see how Vinicius Jr. flies off to Paris. So it is a very, very little chance for Paris Saint-Germain to sign Vinicius Jr. So that is the very good news for Real Madrid. So let's move forward and let's keep talking about another Real Madrid player who is in a very difficult situation. He's been going through tough moments in Real Madrid, considering he only has played so far 68 minutes out of 5 possible games, and he normally starts every single game from the bench. Is Marco Asensio, and of course in this summer, before he went to play in the Olympic Games, in an interview he claimed that he had a meeting, I think, with Carlo Ancelotti, and he said that everything apparently was going okay, everything was cool with Carlo Ancelotti, and apparently for the Italian coach, Marco Asensio was going to be one of the most important names this year for Real Madrid. But considering he barely has played over the last 5 games, every single thing right now is changing in Marco Asensio's mind, and apparently the first, suspects and things like that are popping up in the mind of Marco Asensio right now. And for him, maybe Carlo Ancelotti is trying to do a different thing to what he said in that meeting in the summer. So we still don't know what is going on, but according to El Larguero in Cadena Cope, he said, if this situation is still going on and nothing changed, I want to have a meeting with Carlo Ancelotti, because he said otherwise. He said that I was going to be important for him, and it is worse because, to make the things worse, when Gareth Bale got injured, everybody was expecting for Marco Asensio to take over, but it didn't happen, and then Hazard and Rodrigo have been alternating that position in the right wing. So there's no actually chance, considering all the last games, there's no chance apparently for Marco Asensio to succeed in Real Madrid, and he don't have any explanation for it. But I might have an explanation for it, and let me tell you what. Marco Asensio is the kind of player who is a very classy player. He's very elegant, he's moving the ball around, he's able to move the ball around and connect with other people, but he sometimes abuses of the horizontal pass, the safety pass, moving sideways all the time. He never tries the one-on-one situation, he never tries dribbles, things like that in my opinion are more dangerous, to create more danger in the rival area than still moving all the time sideways. You know what I'm saying? Marco Asensio should be, in my opinion, he should be more he should dare and be more brave to try one-on-one situations, because to me he has the talent and the skills to do that, but for any reason we don't know, he never tries that, and that is something that doesn't fit at all the expectations of Carlo Ancelotti for this Real Madrid. As you probably know, Carlo Ancelotti wants to implement a very vertical philosophy in this kind of Real Madrid, with younger players, super powerful players in an incredible shape and physical condition, and that is not the case of Marco Asensio. That is the thing right now. So that's why I don't think Marco Asensio will change that much, or will change to the point to reverse the situation, be useful or be utilized more often by Carlo Ancelotti. So it's a very complicated situation, and if anything changed, I would say Marco Asensio might leave Real Madrid next year, but nobody knows. We will have to wait a little bit more and see what happens tomorrow and the next Saturday against Villarreal, because if Marco Asensio stays on the bench, I would say that we are going to fly into a big, deep crisis for Carlo Ancelotti when it comes to players management, behaviors, egos, things like that. You know what I'm saying? So it is a very complicated situation, and I don't know how this whole thing will end, but I'm not expecting anything really good in the near future. So let me move forward and let me talk this time about the third topic, which is of course the most important topic for tomorrow, because we are playing tomorrow against Mallorca, and it is a very important game, not because we have to win, which is of course pretty obvious, but the thing is, we are only 2 points ahead of the second one, which is Atletico de Madrid. So if we want to keep growing the distance between them and us, we have to win tomorrow. There's no other way around. And of course, it is the second game in Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, which means that we will have, we have to win. It's a must. You can't lose, in front of your people, in front of your audience, in front of your fans, and that's why Real Madrid has to win Mallorca tomorrow. The other thing is Mallorca is in the 9th position and they have won 2 games, draw 2 games, and lost 1 game. So they are, in the middle of the table. So it's the kind of team you never know how is it going to be. If that is going to be super easy, maybe tough, maybe super difficult, maybe surprise you like yesterday Granada to FC Barcelona. So you really don't know what can happen. So considering that and keeping that in mind, most important for Real Madrid is to be focused since the very beginning. And of course, the second thing I wanted to talk to you about regarding to the game tomorrow, it is that we might see a bunch of rotations in the lineup, in the regular lineup of Carlo Ancelotti, just because apparently there are a bunch of players like Luka Modric, Casemiro, or even Benzema who are a little bit tired, which means that the possibilities for them to get injured are going to the roof. And if they have to play the 90 minutes again, they might get injured. So I don't know if Carlo Ancelotti is willing to take the risk and say, okay, we have to count on these guys, because the other thing you have to think about is these players have been called up by the national teams for the next international break. So that is the thing. Real Madrid will have to rotate tomorrow, and although I think that we have players enough to do a good job, for example, if we leave Modric in the bench, we can replace him with Camavinga, or even if we leave to Benzema in the bench, we have to Luka Jovic. And although we still have very good players to take over, the problem is, especially Benzema, is always providing and delivering stuff that nobody else can provide with, So to me, that's why they are so important, and I would say irreplaceable, But the problem is the season is so long that you have to rotate at some point. And of course, if you think about it, even with international breaks, that is a kind of break, is a kind of rest for the teams. The problem is these guys that will play, or they will be playing for the national teams, they never rest, they never stop, they keep playing back to back every single week. So that is why it is a very complicated situation, and I would say that tomorrow against Mallorca we might see a lot of rotations. Of course, it's the best game, it's the best moment for Camavinga to make his debut. So I don't know what Carlo Ancelotti is thinking about the debut of Camavinga, but to me this is the right moment, because if you think about it, over the last 2 games against Inter de Milan and against Valencia, every single thing of the game, turned completely. And when Camavinga came on to the field, because he himself changed everything completely, and Real Madrid, flip over 100% the situation and was able to win and was able to go through and take the 3 points. And of course, either in the Champions and also in La Liga. So to me, Luka Modric is showing off that he's a little bit tired, and he might be better on the bench tomorrow, getting some rest, getting some break, and recovering a little bit, because then he will have to fly off to Croatia to play 2 games with Croatia as well. So he's 36 years old and he can play every single minute. So let's see what happens. But to me, tomorrow we will see a lot of rotations in the lineup of Real Madrid. So hopefully we can win, and this is pretty much the most important news as far as Real Madrid for today. So now let me know your comments below, and of course